Hey, what's going on, guys? Late night video here. Just wanted to put out a video here on YieldMax. They just unveiled their September 2023 dividend payments. I just wanted to put out a quick video on it. So one of my Discord members, AZV Invest, they shared this article on YieldMax distributions for TSLY, for OARK, TSLY, and you know the rest of them. So this is their little distribution chart here. So some important dates to remember here, guys. The ex-dividend date is September 8th. So that means one would have to have owned the funds prior to that day to get the dividends. Buying on September 8th, that would not count. You won't get the dividend for that month. Also remember, on the ex-dividend date, the share price of the fund is also going to decrease by the amount of the dividend. Now, this happens with every stock or ETF. The reason for this is because the fund's perceived value is now diminished because they're going to be sending money from their pockets into yours. It's just that simple. Like, if I had $1,000 and I gave you $1,000, I'm now worth $1,000 less. It's the same exact thing here, same concept. The share price is going to go down by the amount of the dividend. Now, contrary to popular belief, dividends are not free money. They do need to come from somewhere. But enough of that, guys. Another important date to keep in mind here is the payment date of September 18th. So that is the date the investors will get that juicy dividend payment in their brokerage account. Now we can see for TSLY, that's going to be just under 60 cents. For OARK, that's going to be about 36 cents. For TSLY, that's going to be about 23 cents. And how about NVDY, guys? Almost a full dollar. They have a really juicy dividend this month. Now remember, those distributions are heavily influenced on how volatile the underlying equity is. The more volatility, the more uncertainty there is, the higher those dividends will be. If it's not as volatile, then those premiums as a result of the options trading won't be as high. Now, YieldMax is really great. They even do the 12-month annualized yield for us. They're taking the most recent dividend and multiplying by 12 and dividing by the share price. It's a very fair way to get the annualized yield. Since YieldMax ETFs, they pay out every single month, not every single quarter like most ETFs or stocks. So this is the most accurate way to get an idea of how high that dividend yield actually is for the full year. So we can see for TSLY, that's about 48%. I know that's nowhere near the 70% yields they were at earlier this year, but the fact that we're saying that it's only 48%, that's definitely saying something about YieldMax ETFs, specifically TSLY. So we also have OARK at around 30% distribution rate for the full year. We have TSLY at around 14%. NVDY, surprisingly, is only at 46% despite that high distribution this month. Amazon at around 26%. And then we also have the newer funds in Facebook, Google, and Netflix. They're all around that 17 to 25% range. Now, you might be wondering about Coney, the Coinbase option income strategy ETF, and then there's also the Microsoft, Disney, and ExxonMobil ones. Now, these ETFs, they have not yet been around for a full month. We're gonna have to wait for what those distributions will be later this month. Now, the Coinbase one, there's been a lot of speculation that the distribution yield is gonna be super high because the Coinbase beta is almost 3. It's a super volatile stock, so that distribution should be quite juicy. Let's also take a look at the year-to-date totals this year. So we can see TSLY, since its inception, was paying around 90 cents a share, then it slowly regressed, got as low as around 44 cents, then went back up to 80 cents, got a really juicy dividend in the month of July, paid over $1, and now it's slowly gone back down as well. For OARK, they've been paying around that 75% range, and then it went down a little bit more. And this is actually their lowest dividend payment yet at 36 cents a share. We can see here in the past they have paid out a low dividend, but the months following it did rebound and did continue to go up. So there's obviously going to be volatility in the fluctuations of these dividends. For TSLY, really been all over the place here. Went from 28 cents to 63 cents, now all the way back down to 22 cents. Apple's share price has declined a good amount this week after the Chinese government said that if you work for the government, you are no longer allowed to use iPhones. So nearly 18% of Apple's revenue comes from China. So this could be a big blow in the future for TSLY investors who are getting synthetic exposure to Apple. So if in the future China bans all Apple products, that's going to be a huge blow to Apple. That's definitely going to cause the share price of both Apple stock and TSLY to go down as well. And then NVDY, also one of the newer funds, but they've been doing very well. Almost all their distributions have been over 75 cents. This last distribution of 92 cents, 93 cents has been quite juicy. And then Amazon, Facebook, Google, Netflix, this has all been their first ever dividend yield. So it's still pretty hard to gauge how they'll do for the full year, but at least this gives us a little glimpse. So guys, another thing to keep in mind is if you're wanting to live off YieldMax ETFs, just take into account how sporadic these payments can be. Do you really want to be relying on these funds for your living expenses when they can fluctuate so much month to month and there is absolutely nothing you can do to influence it? Plus, there's that 99 basis points expense ratio, and this is going to have to be paid by you in fees, regardless if the ETF does well or if it does bad. You have to pay that fee. Now, many feel that's justified for all the work the fund managers do, but it's still a fee you have to pay. Plus, there's always that annoying Uncle Sam. You always have to pay taxes if you hold these in a non-retirement account, and that's gonna gobble up some of these returns as well. At the end of the day, guys, these are still amazing yields. We just need that share price to not erode over time. And guys, I wanna hear from you in the comments below. What other YieldMax videos do you want me to make? After all, I've already made all these ones right here. Thanks again to all the Patreons who make this channel possible. Be sure to join the Dividend Discord where we talk about all things investing. We have some great conversations in there with like-minded investors. My videos are always found in podcast form under the Collect Cash podcast name, and I'll catch you on the next one.